I've been just thinking about, okay, is there a concept there? And for now years, I haven't been able to find that concept. But recently that's changed. And I don't have a story, but I do have that concept that to me is as exciting as 1, as exciting as 2, is its own thing, and yet has this through line for all 3. So it does feel like there's probably one more chapter to the story. So it does feel like there's probably one more chapter to the story.
Well, we have news. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and I am back for another video discussing The Last of Us Part 3. So, my expectations after the last couple years have been very lower than anticipated because of just what's happened the last couple years. We've had just a couple disappointing Last of Us days, factions, delay, and then it gets canceled. You know, nothing on the communication front. It had been a disaster. But yesterday was an interesting day. We finally were getting the long-awaited Grounded 2 documentary for The Last of Us Part 2. And, you know, people had speculated to me, well, there's a chance, Dom, maybe they'll address the potential Last of Us Part 3 that has been in discussion, rumors, leaks, whatever you want to say it, for 3+ years now. Would they finally address if there's a possibility of it happening or if it's gonna happen? And I didn't really think that because just, hey, we've had all these disappointing days and stuff, so I've had all these people that have doubted me for a while that I think The Last of Us Part 3 was happening. I thought the second Part 2 was over. I thought a Part 3 was going to happen. And why does it seem like that? I described, I think, in my opinion, it ended on a cliffhanger. To other people, it may have just been a definitive ending. But to me, you kept Abby alive for a reason. They got to the Kathleen Island at the end. Ellie's going off to who knows where. You've got a potential opening here for a final chapter of the story. And Neil's addressed it numerous times, whether it was that first time he said that an outline had been written for Part 3, and he actually explained that it wasn't even Part 3, it was something different. And that in itself was interesting. He's been asked numerous times, and he's kept the door open. He's never fully closed it, but he did say if, you know, we want to move on to something else, we're fine with Part 2's ending. But it does seem, with 2 single-player games confirmed at the studio, it does seem that a Part 3 was an inevitability, that it is going to happen. But also, another new story, a new IP, would be thrown into the mix along with a Part 3. And now it seems like we know the schedule as well. I was already telling you that I kind of had ideas on it, and it seems like that is confirmed how it's going to go. So, if you guys do enjoy this video, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Join about the near 40% of people are subscribing, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, have it set to all. If we go for 2,500 likes, because this is it. This is the biggest piece of news we've gotten in 3 years in regards to The Last of Us Part 3. So, hope you guys do enjoy this. Let's play the clip with Neil Druckman, and then we shall discuss.
I did some other interview where someone asked me about The Last of Us and would there be any more stories or something. And I mentioned, like, you know, we have written a story that takes place after Last of Us 2 that stars Tommy. And I hope one day we get to make it. And the headlines across the industry were like, Naughty Dog has outlined Last of Us Part 3. And that's actually wrong. It was always a small story. It was never like a full title. At the time, we had higher priorities at Naughty Dog, was like to fix our pipeline, to fix work-life balance issues. Just based on where we were, I didn't want to prioritize this story, so that story was shelved. And I still believe one day it will see the light of day. I don't know if it'll be a game or a show, TBD. First game had such a clean concept of like the unconditional love a parent feels for their child. The second one, once we landed on this idea of the pursuit of justice at any cost, justice for the ones you love, it felt like, oh, there's a clean concept here, and there's a through line from the first game about love. If we never get to do it again, this is a fine ending point. And right, last bite of the apple, the story's done. The great thing about working at Naughty Dog is that we don't have to. It's always like, we would love another Last of Us, but if you guys feel like are passionate about something else, we'll support this other thing. Very privileged position to be in. I never take that for granted. I've been just thinking about, okay, is there a concept there? And for now years, I haven't been able to find that concept. But recently that's changed. And I don't have a story, but I do have that concept that to me is as exciting as 1, as exciting as 2, is its own thing, and yet has this through line for all 3. So it does feel like there's probably one more chapter to this story.
And there you have it. For all the people that have doubted me, for have casted doubt, that think I've been clickbaiting and lying the last couple years, trust me, I'm not making stuff up when I talk about this. I've got some pretty credible knowledge. I know how this works. I know how this show goes. I've been through this for 4 years. I've been covering YouTube games for 7. I know Naughty Dog and Neil enough where I would be able to predict something like that and not have it be so outlandish. Yes, people could say, well, you said Factions was coming out, but nobody knew about Bungie and all the behind-the-scenes stuff. Nobody knew about that. But we've known that, especially with the show, the remakes and the remasters, we know a Part 3 was an inevitability. It's not going to be a matter of if, but when. That's always been my mindset with Part 3. And Neil was first talking about originally when there was an outline. You know, remember he said there'd been an outline or a story written for Part 3, but it turns out that that story was related to Tommy. That they were planning a story to Tommy, and due to the Naughty Dog issues like work-life balance and their pipeline, they weren't able to get that out. I think that would have been like a spin-off Lost Legacy type game, where it would have starred Tommy after the events of Part 2. Now, I'm just curious how that would work, considering Tommy is crippled and blind in an eye, how that would work. Would it be like a DLC in his Days of Seattle, or, I mean, his adventures to pursue Abby? I mean, I just don't know exactly what they would do there. You know, that's just something that I don't really know how that would work. But he did stress that that story is still planned to be told one day, whether that is in a spin-off game, could it be in Part 3, I doubt it, or will it be in the show, the HBO show, when they eventually get to the Part 3 storyline, which will be years and years and years down the line. But the point is that a Tommy story is likely coming at some point, whether it is told in Part 3, a new spin-off game, or in the show. But probably the biggest thing that came out of it, and which Neil had even tweeted about that there was going to be headlines on, was what he said in the last minute/2 minutes. He said, I've been thinking about it. Is there a concept there? Talking about The Last of Us Part 3 potentially. And for now years, I haven't been able to find that concept. But recently, that's changed. I don't have a story, but I do have that concept that to me is exciting as 1, as exciting as 2, is its own thing, and yet this through line for all 3. So it does feel like there's probably one more chapter to this story. And that means that this was recorded in about April, I think April of 2023. So since then, there has definitely been some work started on this. I don't know if the story is all written yet, but I guarantee this is Neil Druckmann's next project that, again, the director of that future game, this is that future game. This final Last of Us chapter. Even during the documentary, Neil was talking about, during Uncharted 4, how pumped he was to still be working on Last of Us. Because The Last of Us is his baby. Yes, he did a great job on Uncharted. They did a great job on it. But he definitely feels a bigger connection to The Last of Us. So, what do you think Neil would be doing next? You think he'd really be directing a new IP? He's probably involved in some way, but I think he's more focused on Part 3 and the HBO show and getting those to be as good as possible. And we have some potential details now in Part 3 that Part 3 is going to be its own thing. It's going to be something, you know, that not many people are going to expect, but you're going to see the connected threads to the first 2 games. So I'm definitely, like I said, there's been leaks and rumors on potential characters in it. I guarantee Ellie will be back. We're not going to go through all those, you know, character leaks, names, all that. Again, there's a video, I'll link it, where I've talked about this. You can definitely check that out, but I'm not going to go through all that in case nobody wants to know about that. But check the card in the top right of the video down below. It'll be linked. Abby clearly probably is likely going to return as well. The Fireflies and their involvement will likely be in it, considering that they're still around. And we've also got potentially new factions that are going to be added. You know, the WLF and the Seraphites were added in part 2. I would expect more would be added in part 3. The great thing about working at Naughty Dog is that we don't have to. It's always like we would love another Last of Us, but if the developers feel you are passionate about something else, we will support this other thing. It is a very privileged position to be in. And this, to me, with him confirming part 3 and saying that as well, a new IP that I have been telling you all has been coming for a long time is their next title. Because it does seem part 3, even though that statement was made in 2023, is still a ways off. At the earliest, we might not even see it until 2026, 2027 at the earliest. So, end of PS5 life cycle for part 3. That seems like that is confirmed now. So it does appear that in the next year, we should be getting that new IP. I think it is coming out in 2025. That would be my guess right now. I think we're going to get it revealed either sometime near the end of this year or in early 2025. So for my fans that have been waiting for something new, they're sick of The Last of Us, well, you're going to be getting that. You're finally going to be getting something new. Naughty Dog's going to be testing the waters, I feel. And hopefully, hey, I don't know if it'll be better than The Last of Us, but hey, anything's possible. Naughty Dog will make a very good game. That is for sure. They don't tend to miss the mark. So, could we make something better than The Last of Us? It is possible. So, it looks like we're getting a new IP 2025, 2026. Part 3 probably 2027, 2028. Towards the end of the PS5 life cycle. So, I'm pumped. This is exciting. I mean, I guess what Jeffrey Pierce said, remember in that last video I talked about with part 3, about there not being a story yet, I guess he wasn't lying completely. Again, unless, again, Neil could be lying. They could have a lot more done with the story than you think. Could be a smokescreen. I definitely think part 3 is more done than what we are been initially led on to believe. So, it's an exciting time to be a fan, to say the least. So, make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe if you know it's over 2,500 likes in this video. Let me know what you think of this. Are you pumped for a Last of Us Part 3? It's going to be still a ways away, but hey, it's coming. We know it now for certain. So, I'm pumped. We're going to be talking about that new IP very, very soon in a separate video. This is even more evidence now. God, think I didn't make the video before this, so. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.